chosen ones, these 7 rare powers open multidimensional gateways. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong, not in a sad or lonely way, but in a quietly powerful way? Like you were born with something unexplainable inside you, something ancient, something beyond this world. But I know that feeling intimately. It's not just a thought, it's a calling. And if you're still watching this, chances are you felt it too. We call ourselves chosen ones, but we never asked to be chosen. We were born into it, not better, not superior, but just attuned differently. And the 7 rare powers we're about to explore, they don't just belong to fantasy. They're real. They're spiritual forces lying dormant in your soul, waiting to be awakened. But here's the truth, only a few will ever unlock even one of them. Fewer still will open multidimensional gateways. And the rarest of all, they understand the price. I didn't believe in this at first. I was a skeptic. I needed proof. And proof came not through science, not through logic, but through experience. Through moments where time bent, where reality felt like it cracked open. Have you ever been in a place so silent, so still, that you could hear your own thoughts echo like they weren't even yours? That's not imagination. That's the veil thinning. And it's in those moments, when the noise of the world fades, that the first whisper comes. The whisper beyond the veil. That whisper is not a voice, it's a knowing, a feeling, a memory of something you've never lived but somehow remember.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first rare power begins here, the ability to perceive the unseen, not with eyes, but with presence. We can train the eyes to see light, but only the soul can sense the spaces in between. This power is often mistaken for intuition, but it's deeper. It's the waking up in the middle of the night without knowing why, only to find out someone you love needed you. It's sensing danger in a room where everyone else is laughing. It's knowing things before they're told. But this isn't superstition, it's frequency perception. Every thought, every emotion, every event past, present, and future vibrates. And chosen ones, we are wired to feel the ripples. But that's just the beginning. The second power is energetic synchronization. You've seen people walk into a room and change the energy without saying a word. But that's not charisma. That's a soul operating in alignment with multiple dimensions. When you carry the energy of peace, even chaos bows to you. When you walk with knowing, even uncertainty becomes quiet. But how do you get there? Through a brutal kind of honesty. You must strip yourself of false identities, false emotions, false beliefs, but you must become naked in truth. Only then can you synchronize with the higher vibrations that open gateways. But because these gateways aren't just out there, they're also in you. Think about it. What if the boundaries of this reality were simply agreements we never questioned? What if the door to another world is actually within your breath, your intention, your awareness? The third rare power is dimensional memory. It's the reason some of us feel déjà vu so strongly it brings tears. The reason you may dream of places you've never been, but wake up with a sense of homesickness. You remember timelines your mind can't explain. You remember choices you never made. This isn't science fiction. It's soul science. Your consciousness is not linear, it's quantum. And here's the kicker. Every time you make a deeply aligned decision, you collapse timelines and open new ones. That's the gateway. That's the power. And yet, most people live their whole lives without ever realizing they're walking through these invisible doors every single day. So let me ask you a question. How many decisions have you made that truly came from the deepest truth within you, and how many were just echoes of other people's expectations? If you're brave enough to answer that honestly, you're already activating power number 4, truth resonance. This is not just telling the truth. This is becoming truth. When your thoughts, words, and actions are in perfect resonance, you unlock a presence so powerful, it disrupts illusions. Every lie you've ever told yourself begins to dissolve. Every false relationship falls away. Every mask burns, and it hurts. It hurts like hell. But this pain is the price of awakening. Because once you become truth, you can no longer live in false realities. And that's where the gateway opens, not into a fantasy world, but into a hyperreal state of being where you see everything as it is. No veils, no filters, just raw, divine clarity. I remember the first time I truly resonated with this power. It was not during meditation. It was not in a temple. It was during a moment of complete breakdown. I was alone, stripped of every comfort, every distraction. And I asked myself a question that shattered me. What if everything I believe about myself is a lie? Have you ever asked that? If you haven't, you're still asleep. If you have, congratulations, you've stepped into the fire. And fire is sacred. Fire burns illusions. Fire purifies. Fire is the 5th rare power, the sacred destroyer. This is the power that scares people the most, because it means letting go of everything you thought was you, your identity, your story, your wounds, your dreams. Yes, even your dreams. Because the highest path is not the one you want, it's the one you're called to. And sometimes your calling will ask you to burn the life you built to the ground, not out of punishment, but because your soul has outgrown it. And when you have the courage to say yes to that fire, you become a gateway, not just a traveler. Others begin to awaken through your presence alone. Your pain becomes their permission, and your fire becomes their light. But let me warn you, with every power comes a test. And the more you open, the more you'll be tested. The more you see, the more you must hold. The more you know, the more you must surrender. Because the 6th rare power is the paradox itself, the power of unknowing. This is the hardest for the mind to accept. It means living without needing to understand everything. It means walking into the dark with trust. It means letting go of control, not out of defeat, but out of divine cooperation. The chosen ones don't lead with certainty, they lead with surrender. And in that surrender we find guidance, not from outside, but from within, from the intelligence that designed galaxies, from the source that breathes stars into existence. And maybe that's the greatest mystery of all, that the final gateway doesn't open through effort, but through stillness, and through silence, through the listening beyond hearing, the seeing beyond eyes. The 7th rare power is this, the silence that speaks. When you reach this place, words become unnecessary. You no longer need to convince anyone of anything. You no longer seek answers, you become the question. And your life becomes a mirror for others to see their own truth. Now, I ask you again, are you ready to let go of who you think you are in order to become who you truly are? This is only the beginning. The gateways are real. The powers are waking. And the chosen ones, We are remembering. The path of fire and light, how the chosen ones are tested before they awaken. Awakening is not a straight path. It is not peaceful at first, nor is it kind. It is fire. It is chaos. It is the breaking of everything false within you. And yet, it is exactly what your soul came here for. When you begin to awaken these rare powers, when you start to truly remember who you are, the universe doesn't hand you a medal. It hands you a mirror so clear, so ruthless, that everything hidden beneath your skin, your smile, your beliefs, begins to rise. This is the sacred test, the purification. The moment where many turn back, mistaking the fire for failure. But the chosen ones, we walk through it. Because the truth is, before you can open a gateway outward, you must first open the one within. And that gateway is guarded by every unresolved pain, every fear, every belief you inherited that no longer serves you. The path of fire is not punishment, it is preparation. It's how the soul is tempered, how it becomes strong enough, clear enough to hold the vastness of multidimensional reality without shattering. You see, when you start to access these rare powers, your frequency rises, your perception expands. But your body, your identity, your emotional system, they're still wired for the old world. And so everything that doesn't align with the new vibration begins to collapse. Your jobs, relationships, desires, even parts of your personality. But it can feel like death, but it's actually rebirth. I remember the first time I truly walked this fire. Everything I thought was real began to disintegrate. The people I thought would walk with me vanished. The plans I made crumbled. Even my own voice began to sound foreign. There were nights I screamed into nothingness, demanding answers. But what came was not comfort, it was silence. And in that silence I found power. Because silence doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter. It simply reflects. And when you are brave enough to sit in that silence without running, without fixing, without numbing, something miraculous happens. You begin to see, not with your eyes, but with your essence. You begin to sense patterns others miss. You begin to feel timelines folding and unfolding. You begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. This is the second part of the path, the light, but not the light most people imagine. It's not always gentle. Sometimes light is blinding. It reveals everything. And when you've been living in a reality built on illusions, truth can feel violent. That's why so few people truly awaken. Because awakening requires the courage to see everything as it is, not as you wish it to be. It requires you to hold both light and shadow in your hands and say, I accept all of me. Only then can you move forward. Only then can the true power begin to emerge. And make no mistake, these powers are real. But they don't come through force. They are not about domination or control. They are about purity, presence, alignment. The universe does not trust its deepest mysteries to the uninitiated. That you must become the kind of vessel that can handle truth without distortion, power without ego, vision without fear. That's what the fire is for. To burn away what is not you, so what is eternal in you can rise. So let me ask you again, are you willing to be emptied so you can be filled with something greater? Are you willing to lose the life you planned in order to step into the life you were destined for? Because here's the thing no one tells you, the awakening doesn't just change your life. It changes your timeline. It shifts your reality. The people who once resonated with your frequency may fall away. New ones will arrive, but only if you make space. The situations that once triggered you will feel different, not because they changed, but because you did. That's the proof. It's not in visions or voices or psychics, it's in your vibration, in your peace, in your knowing. And that's the real gateway, not a portal in the sky, not a secret cave, but your own heart, fully open, your own mind, fully surrendered, your own soul, fully embodied. When you reach that point, the outer gateways begin to respond. Synchronicities intensify. Time bends, dreams become messages. Nature begins to speak. The veil thins. And you realize you were never separate. You were never lost. You were simply asleep in a dream of limitation. Now you're waking up. And the fire you walked through, that was your initiation. That was the universe saying, you are ready. But are you? Because the next part of the journey isn't about you anymore. It's about what you're here to do. The gift you came to give. The reality you came to shift. The sacred mission how chosen ones shape the frequencies of the future. There comes a point in the journey where the fire has burned, the illusions have crumbled, and the silence has spoken. And in that stillness, something extraordinary begins to emerge, and knowing that your life is no longer just about survival, success, or even happiness. It becomes about service. Not service in the way society defines it, but a sacred mission that lives in the marrow of your soul. This mission didn't start when you awakened. It started before your first breath. You agreed to it. You signed the contract with the universe. And now, it's time to remember why. The chosen ones are not here to fix the world. That's a trap. We're not saviors. We're not warriors. We are frequency holders, architects of a new vibration. We shape the future not by fighting the old, but by embodying the new. And the frequencies we carry, love, truth, stillness, power, clarity, transparency, are the blueprints of a reality that humanity is only beginning to taste. Every thought you clean, every wound you heal, every lie you release, you shift the collective field. That's the real mission. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous, but it's world-altering. You might be wondering, why me? But that question comes from the mind, not the soul. The soul never asks why, it simply remembers. The truth is, it had to be you, because no one else has your exact frequency. But no one else has lived your path, endured your shadows, carried your wisdom. You are not an accident. You are a key. And there are locks in this world, energetic, emotional, even planetary, that only you can open. That's not ego. That's divine architecture. And once you understand that, life becomes sacred again. Every breath, every step, every interaction becomes a ripple in the quantum ocean. But here's the paradox. You must let go of needing to be important in order to become truly impactful. The sacred mission doesn't work through pride. It works through humility, through devotion, and through the quiet choice to show up even when no one sees you. Because the truth is, most of the spiritual work we do will never be witnessed. It happens in the invisible realms, in the decisions we make when no one's watching. Then, in the moments we choose love over fear, truth over comfort, stillness over reaction. These choices echo through dimensions. And this is where the multidimensional gateways truly begin to open. Not by chasing them, but by becoming them. You are the gateway. Your body, your energy, your consciousness is the portal. When you align with your sacred mission, the veils between worlds begin to thin. You start to receive guidance without asking. You feel the presence of allies, ancestors, higher beings, not as fantasies, but as companions. You begin to walk between worlds, and the more you walk in integrity, the more the universe entrusts you with. Not power in the worldly sense, but energetic access. You begin to influence the grids, the unseen structures that hold collective consciousness. And this is where it gets real, because as your influence grows, so does your responsibility. You're no longer just navigating your own karma, you're transmuting ancestral patterns, healing lineages, anchoring codes for generations to come. You wake up one day and realize that your healing wasn't just for you. It was for your grandmother, your great-grandfather, your unborn children, your community, your planet. The sacred mission is bigger than any one life. It is the weaving of light through time. But don't mistake this for pressure. You're not meant to carry everything. You're meant to carry your peace. And when each chosen one carries their peace with devotion, the entire symphony plays. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be seen. You just have to be real. Fully, deeply, unapologetically real. Because your authenticity is the tuning fork for others to find their own frequency. That your presence gives them permission to be who they are. That's how the future is shaped, not through control, but through coherence. Let me ask you something dangerous. What would your life look like if you stopped pretending to be small? Not in the loud way, not in the ego-driven way, but in the soul-rooted way. What power would awaken if you stopped apologizing for your truth? What reality would you create if you stopped playing by rules you never agreed to? Because the sacred mission is not something you do, but it's something you become. Every day, every moment. It's how you eat, how you walk, how you love, how you speak. It's how you rest, how you forgive, how you breathe. It's not a goal, it's an embodiment. And the more you live from that place, the more the universe rearranges itself around your frequency. But you become magnetic, not to things, but to purpose, to alignment, and to the souls you're meant to walk with. And that's the real community of chosen ones, not a club, not a hierarchy, but a constellation of hearts who remember, who walk quietly but boldly, who carry the codes of a future that's already written in light. The final gateway when you become the portal for humanity's awakening. There is a moment on this path after the fire, after the silence, after the remembering where you stop seeking. Not because you've found all the answers, but because you've become the answer. You realize the search was never about reaching something outside yourself, but about returning to what has always been within. And in that realization, something profound unlocks. The final gateway doesn't announce itself with thunder or visions. It opens in stillness, in presence. It opens the moment you stop trying to become and start fully being. You become the portal. By now, you've faced your shadows, claimed your power, and stepped into your sacred mission. But this final stage is different. It's not about doing, it's about radiating. You begin to notice that your very presence shifts rooms, that people cry around you without knowing why, and that animals calm in your hands, that strangers open their hearts to you without understanding what's happening. You're not just a person anymore. You are a living frequency, a bridge between dimensions, a carrier of light codes embedded in your DNA. and the gateway you open is humanity itself. Because the truth is, we are not here to escape this world. We are here to infuse it with divinity, not to transcend the body, but to anchor the soul into it. Not to reject the human experience, but to sanctify it. Every smile, every touch, every act of kindness becomes a thread in a multidimensional tapestry. You are no longer chasing enlightenment. You are embodying it in traffic, at dinner, in grief, in joy. You are not above the world. You are inside it, lighting it from within. And that is the final lesson. The sacred is not somewhere else. It is here, now, in you. You are the proof. You are the portal. And the more you live in alignment with that truth, the more others will awaken, not because you teach them, but because your energy gives them permission to remember. This is how the chosen ones change the world, not through force, but through frequency. So I leave you with this. What if your very existence is the gateway someone else has been waiting for? What if your healing sets off a chain reaction that ripples through generations? What if your presence is the prayer? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be real, fully human, but fully awake, fully here. You are the chosen one, and the gateways are open. Now walk through.